everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Voices, a student led podcast initiative by Student Outreach. So, have we all ever wondered what a typical day looks like for an Indian student studying abroad? So, today, in our episode, Books, Bucks, and Beyond, we will get into the real life struggles and joys of balancing coursework, jobs, social life, which is a must, and cultural adjustments. Today, from our speakers who are currently living the student life abroad, which I'm very jealous of, we'll hear from them on managing their finances on a student budget and how they are navigating friendships. So, the idea of this podcast is to bring you unfiltered stories, hacks, and laugh out loud moments which you all will be experiencing from students who are making the most of their international experience, which I'm again going to say I'm very jealous of. And I am Sunandana, Community Engagement Ambassador of the Student Outreach Liberal Arts Club. And accompanying me today in the interviewer panel are Yashvi Gupta, Vice President of the Student Outreach Entrepreneurship Club, and Geethika, School Ambassador of the same. And we are glad to welcome Rihanna Ghosh Dostidar, who had completed her schooling from Monash High School for Girls, Kolkata, and is currently pursuing law, BA in jurisprudence from the University of Oxford.
Hello everyone, this is Yashvi here. We have Brishti here, who had finished her schooling from Delhi Public School, Kalinga, and is now majoring in psychology and gender studies from Monash University, Malaysia.
Hey everyone, Geethika this side. We have Taposhree, who has completed her schooling from NPS International School, Guwahati, and is now doing BSc Honours in Psychology from the University of Manchester. I'll now hand it over to Yashvi to let the conversation begin.
Brishti, having you here is such a delight. Also knowing that you have been a student outreach ambassador from Bhubaneswar, and I think you graduated last year or so, right? Cool. So let's start. How's life managing everything alone? Prishti, imagine going from home cooked meals and mom reminding you about deadlines to suddenly, boom, you're adulting now. Grocery shopping, cooking, managing bills, and don't even get me started on figuring out laundry cycles. How has this whole living alone vibe changed you? And what's that one challenge that totally threw you off at first?
Living alone is okay. I'll be honest. Before I started college, I was very excited that, oh my God, I'll get to live alone. I won't have to be bossed around by my parents that, okay, do this, do that, fill the bottles, go put your laundry inside the cupboard, stuff like that. But I guess like once you start living alone, it comes as a shock that, oh my God, I have to figure out everything at one go. Like to the point where I have to decide where my money goes. I have to decide, okay, this is like, how much I spend on my food. This is how much I spend on my transport. Oh shit, I'm broke this month. And it's like, I would say it's very confusing at the beginning and very overwhelming also. But I think like after the first couple of months, you gradually get the hang of it.
Thank you so much, Brishti, for sharing your experience. It felt quite relatable, and I'm sure that it will give great insights to the watchers. Handing over to Sunandana.
Rihanna. So this almost feels like a life has come a full circle with me interviewing you, from you being my school senior and of course my school best friend and childhood best friend, of course. So my question to you is that, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, the man, the myth, the legend, Oxford University. Now, this name and this brand itself is something that makes people shake to their boots. Now, let's just talk about the Oxford feel. Is it how we see in movies? Is it, the Hogwarts archways, the staircases, the beautiful balconies, the swirling, the temptation of just being in such a prestigious institution? Or is it just you crying over deadlines in the weekends and wishing that things were different? Or is it just the magical experience that we have been led to believe by stories and movies alike? What is it? I want you to shed some info into that.
Okay.
First thing about Oxford and all the kind of things that you see on like Instagram and stuff, but like, formal dinners and hallways and arches and all of that, they all exist. They were quite mind blowing when I first reached here as well, because it was like stepping into that blue dome, the Radcliffe camera, and like stepping there as a student and being like, oh my god, I get to sit and study here. And yeah, there are the deadlines. There's a lot of work. It's a pretty academically rigorous institution. But I will say that the magic of it all kind of helps, balance it out, and it inspires you a lot. I think in Oxford, any of these things, they kind of remind you what kind of opportunities you have. And it's a lot like, you feel like the main character in your own movie, which I personally love and I enjoy that. So, yes.
I really liked how you talked about the main character. I mean, who doesn't want to feel like a main character in their own lives? I mean, we all are main characters in our own lives, but sometimes I do feel like we tend to forget that. And I love how you brought that up. And I'm incredibly proud of you for scoring such an meritorious institution on your own accord. And on that note, I'm going to hand it over to Geethika.
Taposhree, I want a question for you. Let's hear from you on the squad goals. I mean, when you first landed in Manchester, were you on your outlook for fellow Indians or let's say Assamese to vibe with? Or did you go all out and build a diverse squad with friends from different cultures? And how does having a multicultural friend group make adjustment easier or just more fun?
Thank you so much for that question. I guess it's very important at the same time to bring this topic into consideration because at the end we are social beings. So when moving out, we just need to have a group of people that we can, rely on when we are feeling homesick. So yes, I have a multicultural group that I'm really, really blessed for. The very element about having a group that comprises of people from different parts of the world is that your perspective about the world expands. Because when I moved from India, I had a particular view about certain things, maybe. But as I go about with discussions, conversations happening, not just on topics which are related to our course or our student life, but also into the broader spectrum of discussion on issues from social to political, our expansion takes place in terms of thoughts, in terms of perspective. And I guess that's the most beautiful part for me when I consider my friends group, because I have learned so much from everybody. Because at the end of the day, that's the beauty, right? We all know something, one or the other thing, but we do not know everything. And I guess that's the beauty of having a group that is so vast, just like the whole world that we have in our hand.
It was amazing to know your insights. Making a multicultural friend group abroad is quite hard. You have to socialize with everyone. It was amazing to know that. Sunandana, do you want to take over?
For sure. So, Rihanna, right back at you. So, tell me, what has been the biggest hurdle in cracking the Oxford code? I mean, getting into this institution, like I have been reiterating so many times, Oxford is one of the most prestigious Ivy League institutions. And getting into Oxford is like, leveling up your game to the boss fight, and it is super intense. I'm pretty sure of that. So, what was the hardest part of your application process? Was it maybe the essays, the nerve-wracking interviews? Because I'm sure that was a part of it. And what is one advice that you as an alumni of Oxford would like to give to all the aspiring Oxford dreamers out there? Because so many people, I'm sure, would like who are probably aspiring and dreaming on to probably set foot into the college campus. Are there any cheat codes to ace the application that you would like to tell us about?
Say there's a specific cheat code. Can you all hear me? Yeah. So, but at the same time, I would say that if I really had to give any advice, it would be to believe, to be genuine, and to really, so as Tapashree said about having your own thoughts and perspectives and kind of like contributing that to a friend group, in the same way, any kind of prestigious institution wants to see what your thoughts and viewpoints are. So whether it comes to like, the personal statement, or which has now turned into a series of questions on UCAS, or it comes to any of the interviews, or even the LNAT, which is the entrance exam you need to take for law, all of that you kind of have to approach with a level of confidence in yourself. So I spoke about my perspective as a student from India, and it's kind of you have to focus on your own experiences and really focus on what you think that you're connected to the most or what you feel passionate about the most. And even the L night I prepared for example, by literally just focusing on all my CLAT material, and I didn't need anything else. So just those small things of having confidence in yourself and in your resources is a very, very good way to kind of clear all those hurdles.
Confidence is the key word that I incurred from what you just said. And I feel like that is something that most people tend to forget in the pursuit of doing other things. And I'm so glad you brought that up, especially the part where you mentioned about overlooking at the small details that people do tend to overlook in the larger perspective of things. So it was honestly great to hear you mention the things that are often overlooked by others. So Yashvi, I think you should take over from here.
Sure. Prishti, let's hear from you on classrooms abroad. Is it more chill or like more drill? What I mean is, does it have lots of group discussions or do professors go in all with hardcore lectures? How different is it from Indian classroom scene?
Okay, that's actually a very good question because I would say it's a little bit of both. In terms of the classrooms, you won't see a professor just standing at the bottom of the class and like giving a speech to the rest of the class. It's more like a classroom the way you see in schools, but instead of being seated individually, you're seated in groups of maybe six or seven, so that throughout your class you can do group assignments, discuss answers, talk about stuff. So in that way, it is much more interactive than the Indian universities. However, when you look at it from an assessment point of view, you'd see that instead of solely having your grades be based on your final exams or your midterm exams, we have assessments throughout the semester, whether that's in terms of essays, quizzes, group presentations, group debates, stuff like that. And so, because of that, you're kind of always having to, go through your material, keep, revising through your notes. In that case, yeah, you could say it's more grinding in that nature. But it also allows you to not go down the rote learning path and instead try to understand whatever is going on.
Thank you so much, Brishti, for sharing your valuable thoughts on this topic. I'm sure all our watchers might have learned how um, foreign universities give a practical life experience and learning. I'm sure it was very useful for the students who are confused between the classroom scene of our country and abroad. Geethika, why don't you take over?
Thank you, Yashvi. Taposhree, coming back to you, and this time to know what weekend feels. I mean, Saturday mornings just pass by, and what's the vibe like? Are you in study grind mode with cozy blanket and your laptop, or are you out exploring cool cafes and hidden gems in Manchester, or are you in a Netflix binge weekend? What's your go-to weekend routine in Manchester?
Okay, so my go-to routine at Manchester, I would say that it's all about finding the balance because there is an opportunity every now and then to overload yourself, whether it be with your own thoughts, whether it be with the assignments. But the chance that you must grab every time that I do is to look out for opportunities whenever I can to balance that workload, to balance those thoughts out. So I guess it's always in a balanced mood for me. I do take care to look into my self well-being at the same time that I'm taking enough of breaks, that I'm also taking enough of time to go about with my knowledge gaining process because that's the ultimatum goal for why I have flown down from India to the UK. So I also have to keep that in mind that I am focused in that way. Then coming down to other things that the university, especially why I chose Manchester was the reason because there is like more than 400 societies that I can opt for. So also keeping that in mind that I should be involving myself in that is also something I try my best to balance it out. So I would say my Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings will be a try from my end to have that balance.
That's true. Balancing out your life and taking out time for yourself while you're studying abroad is very important, and it was good to know your opinion on this. Handing it over to Sunandana.
Right. Okay, guys, time for some desi nostalgia. And no, I'm not going to break out into a Bollywood dance for all those of you who were hoping. So, my question to the three of you, you know, the three of my seniors, our seniors who are clearly acing it abroad, again, very jealous. What is one thing that you three miss like crazy from India? I mean, of course, barring your families and your friends, what is one thing that you all when you just think of India, just kind of there's this longing that I wish I could go back, and I want all of you to answer as briefly as possible. Otherwise, I'll have to pick. I don't want to be the teacher, guys, this time. Come on, who
Okay,
wants to
may
go?
I go about with it?
Yeah, please, Taposhree, please.
Okay. Okay, I would say for me, it's dal and rice. That's something I crave every single Saturday or Monday morning. I'm from Northeast. I'm a foodie people. So that's something, the homemade food. Oh, I miss that. Most of the time I come crying, Mama, can I have food, please? That's my thing. Yeah, that's something I crave.
I
I think
just
like
love that how
um,
Brishti and Rihanna were like nodding their heads constantly. They were like, "Yeah, we agree, we agree." I'm so sorry, Brishti. Please continue.
yeah, no, I was saying that like I would agree with the Tapashree, but like for me, it's not necessarily home cooked food. It's just the street food. I miss pani puri. I miss chaat. I miss dahi vada. I miss like all those like the different types of street food that you would get. And like over here, you do get different versions of the same thing. Like you do get pani puri and stuff. But back home you could get like probably 6 or 10 puchkas for maybe like 10-20 rupees. Over here, it's like so expensive. It's like around you could say like 350 for a plate of maybe six. It is insane, okay? You don't know how glorified they make Indian food out to be. And it's like, dude, it's crazy, honestly.
You are speechless. I get that. I mean, 350. Okay, Rihanna, you have to say something. I'm not letting you leave otherwise. Okay?
Definitely. 100% agree. Not trying to slander UK food, but they definitely need to do something about their biryani, man. Like the way I miss Calcutta biryani over here, it's just I can't find an equivalent. And no matter where I've been to so many places, I've not found a single one. It's not something you can cook at home because obviously the process is complex. And yeah, mishti. I really, really, really want to have like a nice gulab jamun or like a good like something which again you don't get like absolutely like good quality sweets here. So yeah, that's what I miss the most. Food is definitely the most missable thing from India.
I'm so glad that we have established that food is something that connects Indians and especially Indian foodies across the globe. So, handing it on to, passing the torch to Geethika for one last time, please take over.
Hey guys, hope this chat gave you some solid, useful tips before you head out for your study abroad adventure. From avoiding simple mistakes to making the most of your time with student outreach, it's all about being yourself, taking charge, and making smart choices. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We're excited to bring you more such real stories from our amazing seniors. And yes, this is a reminder to all class 12 students, do not miss this year's Discovery Fest, your last big stop before stepping into your college life. Thank you.